What if I told you that Egypt, the land of pyramids and pharaohs, was once ruled by powerful kings and queens from deep in the African south? A civilization that built its own pyramids, defeated invading armies, and rose so high that it conquered Egypt itself. Yet today, their story is barely mentioned in history books. This is the forgotten empire of Kush, the home of the Black Pharaohs. And today, we will uncover the hidden kingdom that reshaped Africa and the ancient world. If Egypt was the superstar of ancient Africa, then Kush was its powerful southern neighbor. Sometimes an ally, sometimes a rival, and sometimes the ruler. Located in what is today Sudan, Kush grew along the Nile River, flourishing for more than 2,000 years. Their cities were wealthy, their gold mines were legendary, and their warriors, feared from the Sahara to the Mediterranean. But what made Kush truly extraordinary was that at their peak, they didn't just influence Egypt, they ruled it. Our story begins around 2000 BCE. While Egypt was building some of the world's first pyramids, the people of Kush were rising in the south. They lived in a region the Egyptians called Taharqa, the land of the bow, because Kushite archers were some of the best on earth. Over time, the city of Kerma became the first major Kushite capital. Kerma was a fortress city, thick walls, busy markets, workshops of pottery and metal. Egypt traded with them and feared them. Why? Because Kush was rich, phenomenally rich. Their gold-powered Egyptian temples and royal tombs. So Egypt wanted control. This tension would spark centuries of conflict. Around 1500 BCE, Egypt launched massive military campaigns into Kush. Pharaoh Thutmose marched south, determined to control the gold-rich region. And he won. Kush fell under Egyptian rule for nearly 500 years. But the Egyptians made a critical mistake. Instead of destroying Kushite culture, they poured Egyptian culture into it. Language, religion, writing, architecture. The Kushites absorbed it all. They learned how an empire works, and waited. Around 1070 BCE, Egypt weakened. Civil war, invaders, and economic decline fractured the once great empire. Kush seized the moment. They built a new capital at Napata, beneath the sacred mountain of Jebel Barkal. Here, the Kushites blended Egyptian traditions with their own African identity. Their kings took titles like Son of Ra. Their queens were called Kandakes, a title that would become legendary. Slowly, quietly, Kush transformed into a strong, ambitious kingdom. By the 8th century BCE, powerful Kushite kings emerged. None more famous than Piye, a warrior king with a mission: reunite Egypt under Kushite rule. Egypt was divided into small, weak states. Piye's army marched in, city by city. Victories stacked up. And then the final blow. He seized the key city of Memphis. Egypt fell. And for the first time in history, a sub-Saharan African kingdom ruled the land of the pharaohs. This began the 25th dynasty, the era of the Black Pharaohs. Kushite kings like Shabaka, Taharqa, and Tenutamen restored temples, rebuilt monuments, and revived ancient Egyptian traditions. Historians say they ruled with a moral and spiritual authority that Egypt had not seen in centuries. But not everyone welcomed their rise. Far to the northeast, the mighty Assyrian Empire saw the Kushites as a threat. They attacked. The Assyrians had advanced iron weapons and brutal military tactics. The Kushites fought hard, but city after city fell. The struggle reached its peak when King Taharqa, one of the most iconic Black Pharaohs, was driven out of Egypt. Eventually, the Kushites withdrew south, and Egypt slipped out of their hands. But Kush was far from finished. The Kushite kingdom established a new capital, Meroë, a vibrant city surrounded by iron smelting workshops, royal palaces, and pyramids. Here, the kingdom reached its cultural peak. They created their own writing system, the Meroitic script, still not fully decoded today. They built 200-plus pyramids, more than the Egyptians ever did. And unlike many ancient cultures, Kush elevated women to positions of incredible power. Legendary queens, the Kandakes, ruled armies, negotiated treaties, and stood on the battlefield as commanders. One Kandake became so famous that ancient Roman records mention her by name: Queen Amanirenas. In 24 BCE, the rising Roman Empire under Augustus attempted to control lands near Kush. Bad move. Queen Amanirenas led a fierce army north. They attacked Roman-controlled Egypt, destroyed statues of Caesar, and dragged them back as trophies. Rome retaliated, sending legions south, only to be met with fierce resistance. In the end, Rome agreed to a peace treaty, on terms favorable to Kush. It was one of the few times Rome backed down in Africa. Kush had proven once again, they were not to be underestimated. But no empire lasts forever. As trade routes shifted and new powers rose, Meroë slowly weakened. By the 4th century CE, the Kingdom of Aksum from Ethiopia launched a final assault. Meroë fell, and the great Kushite civilization faded into history. But their influence did not disappear. Their pyramids still stand. Their art still inspires. Their legacy remains woven into the story of Africa and the ancient world. The history of Kush is more than a story about Egypt's forgotten rulers. It is proof of Africa's powerful, innovative, and global civilizations. The Black Pharaohs reshaped nations. They left monuments that still stand after 2,000 years. And they showed the world that Africa was not just part of history. It helped shape it. So the next time you hear about ancient empires, remember, far beyond the Nile, in the heart of Africa, rose a kingdom that challenged giants, ruled nations, and carved its name into eternity. This was the Kingdom of Kush, the empire of gold, pyramids, and Black Pharaohs. If you enjoyed this journey into Africa's hidden history, give this video a like, subscribe for more deep dives, and drop a comment telling us which ancient civilization you want next.